Good morning, students. This is Sampat Bhadu, Assistant Professor of English, Government College, Sri Dungargad, Bikaner. Today, we are going to take up the next poem for BA third year. The poem is Postcard from Kashmir, composed by Agha Shahid Ali. Let's discuss about Agha Shahid Ali. Agha Shahid Ali was born in 1949 and died in 2001. Was a Kashmiri writer, a great poet. Later, he moved to the United States of America. He was a Kashmiri Muslim by birth, but he has always identified himself as an American poet writing in English. A finalist of the National Book Award, a recipient of numerous fellowships and awards, Ali's poetry always left an indelible mark on its readers. He was known as a poet who was able to merge multiple ethnic influences and ideas in both traditional forms and elegant free verse. His poetry is multicultural with evident Hindu, Muslim, and Western influences. The poem, The Postcard, expresses his deep sentiments and emotions, the reason being far away from one's home and the inescapable fading of memories of home after the passage of time. The postcard that comes is from home here, Kashmir, and the word home transfers the imagination of the poet to that distant land that he has left far off but tries his best to hold on to its enchantment and aroma through his power of imagination. It is the sense of nostalgia that an exile has to deal with, and the sensation is so difficult to apprehend that he feels totally out of control of his own self. The longing for the home that he has left behind is strong that everything around him looks lifeless and charmless as he is deeply engrossed with that part of his existence which is beyond his reach. Physically, he is at some other place, but mentally and emotionally, he is at his home, sweet home, that is Kashmir, which is too close to his heart. Home is not just the place where one stays, it is the most intimate connection psychologically, ethnically, socially, culturally, and emotionally. People often travel to various places for difficult errands, but finally seek the solace and peace that home offers to them. Leaving home is a great sacrifice, and it's only one who has undergone that submission knows the depth of it. Dear students, it's very difficult to quit one's home forever, to leave or abandon one's home forever. It's really heart-rending for all of us. We always miss, we always feel nostalgic. The poem is a part of his book, The Half Inch Himalayas, and the poet here believes that the postcard that he has received from his home, and this is the closest I will ever be to home. The imagery he employs in the poem expresses his loss, his home rendered insubstantial by time and memory. This idea is especially clear in the poem as Ali expresses his frustration that the home he describes can never again be made corporal, that he will actually be able to see it again. Ali uses a significant imagery in his poem in order to portray his frustration at the impossibility of bridging the gap between the past and the present. Ali's poems are like revealing impossible nostalgia in his sentences. The speaker of the poem is denationalized and finds himself without an identity. He attempts desperately to link his old home that no longer is his home in his present state, and his present home, which never seems quite like home to him. The narrator, an exile from Kashmir, experiences three tribulations: the repentance of having left his home, the denial of feeling like an outsider, and the struggle of coming to terms with the changes that would have unavoidably taken place in his absence. The internal encounter of the narrator is exposed as he looks at the postcard photograph of Kashmir, a place where he belonged to but now exists only in memory. He knows that his imagination of Kashmir is much beyond what it is in reality, and this shows his deep love for the place he belonged to once. He knows that his long displacement has made his memory a little out of focus, and he still tries to hold on to that reminiscence. Reminiscence means a recollection so pure and ultramarine that the recent blotches of contamination and coagulation might not affect Kashmir's great heritage. Let's take up the poem itself. Kashmir shrinks into my mailbox. Wow, what a beautiful line, dear students. Kashmir shrinks into my mailbox. My home a neat 4 by 6 inches. I always loved neatness. Now I hold the half-inch Himalayas in my hand. This stanza has been derived from Agha Shahid Ali's poem Postcard from Kashmir. The speaker describes receiving a postcard from his native land, that is Kashmir, a region of the Indian subcontinent. Parts of Kashmir are controlled by India, Pakistan, and China. And in fact, disputes between India and Pakistan about the territory are long standing and have often led to armed conflicts. The poem, the postcard, expresses profound sentiments and emotions. The reason being far away from one's home and the inescapable or unavoidable fading of memories of home after the passage of time. In the opening two lines of the poem, the speaker indicates that the postcard contains a photograph of Kashmir or a part of Kashmir, a place the speaker still considers his sweet home. Clearly, he is very geographically distant from Kashmir, a fact that makes his use of the word home ironic. He may have been born in Kashmir and may have lived there for much of his life, but now he is apparently living somewhere else, perhaps even in some Western country such as the United Kingdom or the United States, and definitely United States. In any case, the speaker next mentions that he always loved neatness or cleanliness, a trait that emphasizes the irony that he can now hold the half-inch Himalayas in his hand. The massive mountain range has been reduced to a small, tidy picture, which is surely not the kind of neatness the speaker truly desires. One of the most impressive aspects of his homeland has thus been shrunken and made to seem far less impressive and significant. Although the speaker holds the postcard, he has, in more literal ways, lost touch with the land he loves. Ali says that his home is now 4 by 6 inches. That means the postcard, because Kashmir is contained in the postcard. That is why the home has been measured in by 4 by 6 inches, implying that he is nowhere near capable of the reducing it in his mind. The half-inch Himalayas shows how something majestic can lose its sense of grandeur like Kashmir. Next stanza. This is home. And this the closest I will ever be to home. When I return, the colors won't be so brilliant, the Jhelam's waters so clean, so ultramarine, my love so overexposed. The first two lines of the stanza are perhaps the most intriguing and puzzling lines of the poem. Does the speaker mean that Kashmir is home? If so, why does he say that this is the closest he will ever be to home? One might assume that he means that he is unable to return to Kashmir, and so the postcard must suffice as a poor substitute for an actual visit. In the very next phrase, however, the speaker seems to contemplate or think deeply about an inevitable return. Therefore, when he says, "This is home," does he mean the unnamed place where he currently resides? Which seems a poor substitute for his actual home of Kashmir. The phrasing of lines 5 to 6 is not entirely clear and contributes an interesting ambiguity to the poem. The speaker assumes that the the speaker assumes that when he does actually return to Kashmir in real life and not simply in his imagination, the real sights of the place will not live up neither to the picture of them presented in the postcard nor to the idealized memory of them in the speaker's mind. Kashmir actually physically becomes the postcard in his mailbox. Here, metaphor has been used. Ali experiences a kind of peaceful but painful recognition that Kashmir is no longer his home. Line 5 and 6 are not clear in their meaning in the poem. Mailbox, dear students, mailbox has been compared to Kashmir, home. So, mailbox is used as a metaphor. Last stanza of the poem, and my memory will be a little out of focus. In it, a giant negative, black and white, still undeveloped. In the poem's closing lines, the speaker suggests that his memory of Kashmir is unreliable and that Kashmir itself may be like a giant negative, black and white, still undeveloped. These lines, and especially the last words, are suggestive. They may imply that Kashmir is still in the process of development as a place, that it is at present still too polarized to live up either to the speaker's idealized memory of it or to the postcard's idealized presentation of its beauty. Kashmir is the most inflammable part between India and Pakistan. Due to the dispute, many native people of the region migrated from there. Kashmir is the heaven of the earth. Still, they are away from their homeland. Through this poem, poet tries to focus on the sentiment of the people of the Kashmir. Nostalgia for the motherland is the central theme of the poem. Poet is seeking the quest for identity. Dear students, let's discuss about the present phenomena of Kashmir. You might have heard or read. On 5th of August 2019, article some clauses of Article 370 or most of the Article 370 of the Indian Constitution has been revoked. Revoked means has been nullified. And due to that, what happened? Kashmir as a state has lost its status, and now it has been converted into or made into a union territory, and it has been classified as two union territories. One is Jammu and Kashmir, the second is Ladakh. Now they are directly governed by the central government of India. We have now no assemblies over there. They are now controlled, powered, and directly monitored and administered by the Indian government, and they are now the union territories. Jammu and Kashmir one, and the second is Ladakh. So in India now we have 9 union territories. Thank you, dear students. Have a nice day.